Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I am here with Quiana Peterson, who is the HR Director for Lake County Schools. Quiana, thank you so much for your time today. Nice to see you. And
Thank you so much for
congratulations.
inviting me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, congratulations on your recent promotion.
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much. So, first of
Thank
all,
you. Thank you
this
so much.
you're welcome. This first question segues right into what we just said about a promotion. Can you tell me a little bit about your career path and what experiences that you bring to the position of Director of HR?
Yes, absolutely. So I started in human resources back in 2003.
Okay.
I actually, like most HR professionals, didn't really know anything about human resources, kind of fell into the industry. I was fresh out of college and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I was actually working through a temp service who placed me in a human resources department.
Oh,
And I
wow.
started at the true entry level position of like HR assistant. And so I just found people, what they do and why they do, absolutely fascinating. And I said, I don't know what this is, but I'm going to change my direction and focus on human resources. And I've been working in HR ever since in many different roles, and I've kind of worked my way all up to a director eventually. So
Very good. So, like so many of us, we kind of either it's a second career or for whatever reason we find ourselves working in HR. It's very common. It's a very common occurrence, according to many people that I speak to. I know every day in HR is a little different, but can you tell me what a typical day might look like?
yeah. So in human resources, we're responsible for mainly the front end of the hiring process. And so typically we're onboarding new employees, recruiting employees, posting open positions, updating employee records. And then here in Lake County Schools, we actually encompass recruitment and employee relations. So the front end and the back end of the house. So,
Right.
a lot of it can be very transactional work. We're, on the phone, talking to our hiring managers, figuring out what they need and helping them manage their employee life cycle essentially. And then in employee relations, you could be involved in discipline or investigations and offboarding employees.
Okay. Yes. So on the entire life cycle. That's good. That's good. What's your favorite part about working in human resources?
I do enjoy working in complex situations, and human resources definitely provides us a lot of complex situations to work through. And I think unlike other disciplines, because we're, one in charge of keeping the district running, onboarding employees, managing them, and making sure that they're performing and so forth. There's also the aspect of driving the district goals and initiatives through that process. And that
Right.
can be really difficult and complex, trying to make sure that the department is doing that. But I find it very rewarding. And I really like working with the challenge of trying to look at data, which is, numbers and that sort of thing, but interpreting it through a human lens.
Okay. So using those analytics in your HR department. That's wonderful. What do you find to be the most difficult part of your job?
Probably also can be the human side of the house. Managing relationships in
Yeah,
human resources. It's funny because a lot of new individuals to HR, I always say, oh, I like people. And I always think to myself, there's liking people and then there's managing those relationships
I
in
agree.
employment relationship, which can
Yes.
be very, very difficult. And it does require a lot of tough conversations. And
Mhm.
so I think the performance management side of the house is probably the most complex because you're navigating through whether this employment relationship can be retained
Right.
and fixed and managed, or if we're going to have a more complex conversation of this isn't going to work out. And so
Yeah.
I think that can be, and I think a lot of people do dislike that part because it's messy, it's
Mhm.
uncomfortable, and doesn't always feel great.
Yeah, I hear you. I was just at the HR Florida, and there was a lot of talk about those difficult conversations and how, we have to be able to do that with our employees. Since you've been in since 2003, have you seen many things change in the world of HR? Some things that you
Yeah.
experienced?
Absolutely. So I think the function has become more strategic and aligned with the business function. Whether it's in the private sector or the public sector, we definitely use a lot more data to make better decisions. So whether that's managing our own department and what the workload looks like based off of each employee using metrics, or whether it's looking at recruitment and whether we are getting a return on investment for some of the sources that we're using. HR has definitely become more of a business partner.
Mhm.
And so I think those of us in human resources that have been in that realm have had to increase our business acumen essentially to
I
make sure that
totally
we're
agree.
still valuable to the company and organization.
Right. No more, gone are the days of just like those gut feelings. We
Yeah.
have to have the data and the numbers for sure, for
Yes.
sure. How do you keep current with HR practices since it's kind of always evolving and changing with the times, really? So how do you personally stay current?
Yeah, it's really important to always have your hand on the pulse of what's happening, not just in your own industry, but also in the talent market. So there's two sides. On the HR side of the house, I have a human resources HRCI certification. So I'm
Okay.
required to take courses, and every month I take at least several online or face-to-face courses to maintain my certification and stay current with what's going on in human resources. And on the talent industry like side of the house, I subscribe to a lot of articles, blogs, news outlets as far as what does unemployment look like, what does the job market look like, so that we can stay agile and be able to pivot if we need to with our approach on the recruitment side of the house.
Right. So there's a lot of information out there. You just have to stay current with blogs and emails and periodicals and things like that. That's great. All right. Last question. What advice would you give to someone who is thinking about making HR their career?
Well, human resources
Run. No,
is,
just kidding.
yeah. You know,
Kidding.
it's one of those areas that it can be deeply rewarding, and I think it is. And you can obviously make a career, a lifetime career out of human resources. I often feel like we're the bloodline of the district. It begins and ends with human resources. So, depending on no matter what industry you're in, there's always a job that you can do. But I think for those starting out, it's really important because it encompasses so many disciplines and functions. You can be in human resources and recruitment, in performance development, professional development, and managing employee performance, employee relations, onboarding and benefits, even payroll sometimes sits in HR. It's important to kind of, I think, figure out what your niche is because
Right.
it can be difficult to grasp everything, and you can be in this
Yes.
industry for years and continue to learn. One of the things that I was lucky enough to do early on in my career was someone actually came to me and said, Kiana, you can't be it all. You have to
Mm,
figure out what your passion is within this discipline. And that
right.
was probably the best advice they could have ever gave me. I was sitting in a position where I managed it all. But most of my work sat in an area that I didn't find enjoyable. And so I started focusing on it on recruitment and had been doing that for the last, and it brought me great joy.
Right.
And I was able to become a subject matter expert in that area. You can be a generalist, but I think starting out, it's easier to tackle one of those functions that you find your passion and then work your way through the industry that way.
I love that answer because we do have some individuals that end up being a department of one. So they're
Mhm.
kind of involved in lots of different areas. But if you can, like you said, figure out what you like and kind of drive help that drive your career. Because there's a
Absolutely.
lot of opportunity. There really is. So I appreciate your time. This was so nice to catch up and to hear from
Yes.
you. And I'm just really excited for my students to be able to watch this video and learn something new about the job of being working in HR. So thank you so much.
Thank
Good
you. Thank you so
seeing
much for having
you.
me.
Bye.